objectively worst Pokemon in all of the Pokemon games. So we have to go over the Pokemon stats, their evolutions, and their movesets, and of course their abilities. These are all Pokemon that are not good whatsoever, and so these entries may surprise you. But these are, in my opinion, the worst Pokemon of all time, objectively. I already made my opinion-based list, but now I'll talk about the objective ones. The first one we're going to talk about is Pokemon that appear on both lists, and that's Unknown. So Unknown is probably the most worthless Pokemon to ever get. Unknown has one of the lowest stat totals, unlike various other Pokemon, like Ditto, Smeargle, and Cedizzy, which are considered worse stat-wise. Well, those Pokemon at least have a purpose, could at least be used, okay, as well. And I will have a gimmick that makes them at least somewhat useful. Unknown, nothing about Unknown is useful, okay. Unknown only wants one move. Hidden Power. That's it. Hidden Power. Nothing else, and it doesn't evolve into anything either. And good thing they don't bring it back in Pokemon Scarlet Violet, because what's the point of bringing it back Unknown? It's a pointless Pokemon. They didn't bring it back in Generation 6, Generation 5. The last time Unknown has appeared in importance in any game was Gen 4. Okay. And that is it about and Unknown stats are abysmal too. 346. Unknown only wants one move throughout every game. That's Hidden Power. And this has not changed at all whatsoever. And overall, Unknown's just a terrible Pokemon. Number 2, Delibird. So Delibird is just a bad Pokemon. And we're not talking about the Paradox version, which is the superior version of Delibird. We're just talking about the original Delibird, not the Paradox Pokemon Iron Bundle. But this Pokemon is another Pokemon that's complete dog shit. Okay, an older game, like it can run TMs, but it only runs one move most of the time. It runs Present. Following Generation 9, it also runs Drill Peck, which at least is something. And also runs a ton of moves for ATM, so at least unlike Unknown, you can actually use it in circumstances. But it has also a worse base stat total, but it's definitely not worse than Unknown as well. And it also does have a Paradox form, which is also pretty good as well. Also was various good moves, a lot of good moves, very bleeding and TMs, which of course Gen 5 and onward, TMs have are either infinite or renewable as in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So it isn't that abysmal of a Pokemon compared to Pokemon Unknown. But it still is a pretty bad Pokemon. Number 3. Number 3 is Luvdisc. We all know this guy was coming. Luvdisc is a complete trash Pokemon. Luvdisc has bad stat total of 330, and it doesn't even run any stab type water moves. And its original generation, except for Water Gun. And the most recent gens, it does run moves like Hydro Pump and Water Pulse, and that's it. And it also runs several more water type moves for ATM. But Luvdisc is still a completely useless Pokemon. Other than gain hot scales, this Pokemon literally serves no purpose whatsoever. This Pokemon is utterly useless and pointless. Why does it evolve into Aurora? Nobody will know. Number 4. Dustox. Dustox is a Gen 3 Pokemon as well, and it's it's probably one of the worst Gen 3 Pokemon besides Luvdisc. Dustox doesn't really run a lot of good moves, as it being an early game bug type Pokemon. It also has pretty bad stats of Face Total 4 or 5. You might think, oh, that's better compared to the other Pokemon, but overall, it's just not a bad Pokemon. It's also Poison type, and Bug type, which at the time were two of the worst types. Were two of the worst types in all Pokemon. Also, Warple and Cascoon are also two pretty worthless Pokemon. If you want to use a better Bug type Pokemon, there was Ninjask instead. Ninjask has very good speed, it has a better move set, and overall is a way better Pokemon. And also you can get Shedinja for free. So you get 2 Pokemon instead of 1 useless Pokemon that will probably be very useless throughout your run. Also there's a bonus poison type Pokemon, Zenfree, which is called Swallow. So overall, I want to give you 2 alternatives to this useless Dussock Pokemon. Number 5. I do love Zenfree Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but Spinda's another useless Pokemon. I got a shiny Spinda, and I just traded for another shiny Pokemon that was way better than Spinda, because Spinda is not a good Pokemon. And yes, Spinda has pretty bad stats as well, like most of these Pokemon on this list. So Spinda has a stat of 360, which is pretty hilarious. But Spinda doesn't really reward many good moves. The last time Spinda has also appeared was in Gen 7. Oh wait, Gen 8 was the last generation that Spinda appeared in. And Spinda is just wildly used Spinda. It's a pure normal type, which is much better pure normal types than most of the generations it appears in. For example, in the same generation, you can get Zangoose, which is a much better Pokemon as well. It can also get Straking as well. Despite having Truant, Straking is much better of a Pokemon than Spinda, as well. So overall, Spinda is just another pointless Pokemon that exists. Even Rinu, because and Zigzagoon are much better Pokemon because they both have pickup. This Pokemon really is another Pokemon that serves almost no purpose unless you want to try to attempt to get all the dumb patterns. But again, this Pokemon is not a good Pokemon anyways, so yeah. Next Pokemon is a Pokemon that is, you're like, why is this here? Why is this on the worst Pokemon? It's Regigigas. It's a legendary. How can a legendary suck? Wah, 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 wah. Oh yeah, it has one of the worst abilities in the entire game. So Regigigas has one of the worst abilities in the entire Pokemon series. So it would be different if Regigigas was a pretty fast Pokemon, but it's dumb ability nerfs Regigigas for no reason. It would have probably been one of the best Pokemon of all time of the games. But they gave it such a hindrance of ability. It's just one of the most unnecessary nerfs of all time. You basically made this really good Pokemon that could have been good, but then they gave it an ability that completely sucks. So, it has a space that total similar to Straking, 670, and unlike Straking, which just has Truant, which is also not a good ability. But again, the difference between Straking and Regigigas is Straking is not a legendary Pokemon. Regigigas is a legendary Pokemon. It causes the attack and speed to be halved in the first 5 turns. Counter is reset and this Pokemon is first out. If this ability is replaced with a move that screws up its fluency is suppressed, Pokemon's stat returns to normal. But why just give it this ability? This is a legendary Pokemon. This is an ability that hinders it so much. So yeah, Regigigas is probably the only legendary on this list. Number 6. Pukomuku. So Pukomuku, I don't know how I pronounce it. It's another Pokemon that is absolutely utter garbage. So Pukomuku is a pure water type Pokemon from the Aurora region. It doesn't evolve into anything. So its whole gimmick, it has an ability called In and Out. And basically, if you attack it, like a real sea cucumber, it will puke out its organs at you. Yeah, it's very gross, but that's how these creatures work. So Pukomuku is probably one of the worst Pokemon. First is its speed. Of course, sea cucumbers are never really known for being fast, so the whole point is you have to stall. It's a stall Pokemon. But any good electric type can easily defeat Pukomuku. Or grass types. Which, of course, there is a grass starter that is really good in Gen 7 called the Decidueye, which basically makes this Pokemon even worse. And also, if you really want to, if you don't use the Decidueye, you can, of course, use Popplio in its evolutions. I forgot the name of the Prismarina. And if you're choosing Prismarina, why would you choose this fucking useless piece of garbage? Okay? It was several. It was not. It was no water type moves. No stab water type moves. Despite being a water type naturally, and it doesn't even want a single stab water type move. Okay, this Pokemon's trash. So yeah, Pyukumuku, if you play the Aurora Region, don't pick this thing. Pick one of the many other water types that were introduced in that generation of using only new Pokemon. Or if you just want to use old Pokemon, just use Gyarados. That's way better than using Pyukumuku. Number 7, Parasect. So Parasect, Gen 1 gets a lot of love. Okay, Pokemon that were considered useless before, like Foulfast and stuff, were omitted from this list. Because Foulfast get involved with the Surfest. Mr. Mime got a pre-evolution. It also is still a psychic type. It also gained the fairy typing. Jinx is just ugly, but it's still probably very useful in battle. But Parasect is Bug Glass, which is probably one of the worst type combinations in the entire game. So, in Gen 1, there's better bug type is not a good type, but even in later generations, there's better bug type Pokemon. For example, in Gen 6, you can catch Paras and Parasect, and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and X and Y in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. There's Pokemon like Volcarona that exist that are way better than Parasect. I know Volcarona, you don't get into level 59, but it's still a much better Pokemon. And especially if it's included in Gen 5 as a normal Pokemon they can get, well, this would be a Pokemon that would be completely useless. Because why would he use it over Volcarona as he can get early in the game? Even without Volcarona, there's so many good Gen 5 bug types. And Gen 6 will need several good ones in Gen 7, including Vikavolt and stuff. Why would he choose Parasect over them? And even Gen 1, he got Cypher and Pinsir. And of course, Gen 2, you got Heracross. Okay? Those are the best. Okay? And of course, he got Sizzle on Gen 2. Okay? This fucker is just a out of woozy game. Okay? And it's completely garbage. Parasect. I hope Game Freak eventually gives Parasect some more love in the future. Because I actually kind of feel bad for Parasect being the ones in that one Pokemon that still sucks really badly. That was even a Mega Evolution, a regional form, or, even a converted evolution or other forms that it could receive. But overall, Parasect is garbage. Number 8. We're going to Gen 8 and we're talking about Spidops. Yeah, Spidops is probably the worst bug type introduced in Gen 8. Not Gen 8, Gen 9. And sad thing is, Spidops is actually pretty cool design. Nothing, they don't really have, they do have its moveset. They also want a pretty good amount of moves and a pretty good amount of TMs. But the fact that it gets outclassed by other Pokemon in its own generation. The little Pokemon that's right next to us, Pokédex entry, which is Nimble and Rokex, which are way better bug types than Spidops. You find them later in the game. After the first gym, but Rokex is a way better bug type Pokemon than Torrential and Spidops as well. Despite being a very cool looking design, it's not pretty good. And then we're gonna have a tie for another spider Pokemon that's completely useless as well. Going back to Generation 2, you also got the very useful Ariados. These two Pokemon are literally tied because they're both spider Pokemon that completely suck. Ariados has never been good since Gen 2. Which is insane because I actually like Ariados' design quite a lot. I hope Ariados is one of those Pokemon that gets something new in the future as well. Because Ariados, I think, is a pretty cool design. It's just not a good Pokemon to use. And it's featured in a lot of games, too. The last time being featured was in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Sun Pearl. But overall, Ariados is not a good Pokemon. Only having a base stat total of 400, and having a lot of good moves. But, like, for example, the buffed Leech Life. But it's a pretty bad Pokemon in terms of, space stat totals. So maybe it might receive a third evolution in the future, Kind of like several other Pokemon dissolved in Gen 4, and some Pokemon dissolved in Gen 9. Number 9. Going back to Gen 2, we have Radiant. Radiant is actually considered worse. Radiant is actually worse than Ariados. Despite gaining the Flying type, it can't warn Fly, so it's a very useless Flyer. It only warns one Fly type move anyways, but also only warns 2 Bug type moves as well by level up. And that is in Generation 8. In Generation 2, well, it warns no fucking Bug type moves. So this is another completely useless Pokemon that really serves no purpose whatsoever. And that isn't about Radiant, not a complete garbage Pokemon from Gen 2. And number 10. Then, Pursuit and Minot. Both of these Pokemon are meant to basically be the, this started a whole trend of Pikachu clones. And we're going to categorize the Pikachu clones into this category. But Pursuit and Minot are the ones that started. And are probably the worst. There's also parts of Ritu who also was pretty bad, but still won that World Championship. Also, you got Moga, which also has the Flying type. You also have the Dedenne, which also has the Fairy type. Togedemaru, which has a Steel type. Morpeko, which I think has like the Dark type or Fire type. And of course, Palmy and its evolutions all have the Fire type. And actually all have pretty good stats. This Pokemon has nothing special to it other than basically being a Pokemon that's supposed to work with its other type. It actually has pretty decent word set, but these two Pokemon were made for double battles in Gen 2. And double battles are not that too. Gen 3. Double battles really have died out over the decades for Pokemon. Not decades, for the past decade. There was no real double battles except for that one Zim in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So double battles are not really that found in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So this Pokemon is basically useless. Other Pokemon that can be in the same category are Pokemon that are supposed to work together, include Volbait and Ruminaze as well. But 2 pure bug type Pokemon that can fall into a spot as well. And we have the honorable mentions. So Pokemon that were completely useless before they got new forms and evolutions, including Mega Evolutions as well, or Gigantamax forms, or regional forms, includes Butterfree and Beedrill. Pokemon like Farfetch'd as well. Well, and Pokemon that are also not really that great, but they got new forms. Which are mostly Gen 1 Pokemon that got new forms. Really saw your bias here, Game Freak. What about the Gen 2 Pokemon that really sucked and need new forms? I can give them new forms? Knowing Game Freak, probably not. But we can at least hope and dream as well. And yeah, that's basically about the objective list of the worst Pokemon of all time. Do you think other Pokemon deserve to be on this list? For example, Pokemon like Corsola, even though it got a new form, which is why I excluded it from this list. Because that means it got a new form. Regional evolution. Which is something that, many Pokemon don't get as well. So that's basically what this video here. Goodbye.